A lot of people were disappointed with this most recent Nintendo Direct, myself included. My angle, though, for the disappointment was the presentation itself, the show. I mean, if the show's not entertaining, why even do a show? Why not just drop trailers? And a lot of people can't separate the show itself versus the actual games because, there's a lot of people who are disappointed with the show because they didn't have a 3D Mario or a Smash Bros. Or a Luigi's Mansion 4. But honestly, I'm on the fence that when I look at Nintendo's lineup for 2026, and heck, ever since Nintendo Switch 2 came out, I think their rollout is genius. I really do. I don't think that they need a 3D Mario, a Smash Bros, or a Luigi's Mansion 4 right now. And those people on the narrative on the other side, I don't know if they're really big general Nintendo Switch 2 fans, and I don't know if they're seeing the same thing I'm seeing because, as you know already, Nintendo Switch 2 is the fastest selling console of all time. Let me repeat that. The fastest selling console of all time. Do you think the fastest selling console of all time desperately needs 3D Mario right now? No. Uh, and what are they doing right now for the second half of 2026? Now we actually have an idea of their actual lineup. Star Fox is coming out pretty soon. That I don't know if that's going to be big enough to sell units itself for the hardcore Star Fox fans, but maybe it could for the hardcore N64 fans. I mean, you can actually play that game with an N64 controller, right? That's a pretty big deal. In July, we're getting Splatoon Raiders. Say what you want about Splatoon. I'm not the biggest Splatoon guy. I'm excited for Raiders because it's a single player experience, and I'm a single player gamer. That's the only reason why I'm not huge into Splatoon. When I play it, I love playing it. I'm just not a big multiplayer gamer, and it's a very big multiplayer focused game. But Splatoon's huge. There's so many people who like Splatoon. So you better believe that's going to sell units. What's pretty interesting is August. We don't know anything yet, so I think there's still going to be an announcement coming up in August, whether it be a Mario Kart DLC or a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition, or both. I'm pretty sure my revised predictions put Mario Kart DLC into August. And there's still room for that or not Splatoon, Pikmin Switch 2 edition in August. September, my predictions were September was going to be the month that Fire Emblem comes out. And why? This is very important. Why Fire Emblem in September? It's because that's the beginning of the holiday season. And I believe Nintendo values Fire Emblem as one of their big IP, just as big as Mario and Zelda. And say what you want about it. I'm not the biggest Fire Emblem guy, but the reality is there are hardcore Fire Emblem fans. And I think Nintendo recognizes that. They priced that at $80, and this has been a big talking point for a lot of people. Oh no, another $80 game. I mean, guess what? Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake is going to be an $80 game. Please, nobody here be surprised when Zelda Ocarina of Time is an $80 game. I'm by no means surprised that Fire Emblem is an $80 game because, yeah, Nintendo recognizes that, or they treat that as a premium Nintendo game. And a lot of that has to do with the Fire Emblem fans are hardcore fans. They're huge into Fire Emblem. This is why Fire Emblem has this physical deluxe edition with the art books and all that, because that's going to sell, because Fire Emblem fans are these hardcore fans, and hardcore fans are going to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 for Fire Emblem. And now this is a very important point to make, because same with the Xenoblade fans. Xenoblade fans are hardcore fans. They are going to buy a Switch 2 for these Nintendo Switch 2 upgrades to be able to play all the Xenoblade games, 1, 2, 3, Xenoblade X, and soon Xenoblade 4 on Nintendo Switch 2. I couldn't believe this. This was nowhere near on my radar in the predictions because they already released Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I thought that was going to be all the Xenoblade we were going to get for 2026, and it was going to be 2027 we might have got Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. They're putting all of them out this year. July, October, December, we're going to get a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of every Xenoblade game. And the Xenoblade fans are hardcore fans. They're going to buy Switch 2 consoles for these games. Not every Xenoblade fan, but there are going to be Xenoblade fans who this is enough to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Same with the Fire Emblem fans. A new Fire Emblem game is going to be enough to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 console. And what's important about this is these fans of Fire Emblem and Xenoblade, and Splatoon and Star Fox, there's a higher chance that these fans are going to also buy 3D Mario when that comes out in 2027. Versus if they release 3D Mario now early on in the Nintendo Switch 2s, there's not a huge guarantee that that Mario fan is going to buy a Fire Emblem or a Xenoblade game. I think it's a very, very much lower chance that your, average Mario fan is a Fire Emblem fan, but there's a way higher chance that your Fire Emblem fan is a Mario fan. And what this means is this is already the highest selling console of all time, over 19 million units by now. 3D Mario is at the point where it's not necessarily a system seller. We know it can sell 20 to 30 million copies, but in order to sell 20 to 30 million copies, there needs to be 20 to 30 million Nintendo Switch 2 owners, right? And so they're at the point where it's sell the units to these hardcore fans, to these Fire Emblem fans, to the Splatoon fans, to the Xenoblade fans. They're not hurting to sell units right now. They already broke the record for fastest selling console of all time. Nintendo Switch Sports in October, I think that's a very genius move, or Switch Resorts, I should say. I think that's a very genius move. I remember when Nintendo Switch Sports came out on the Switch 1, people were kind of like, eh. And then the sales numbers came out, and I believe that sold between 10 and 20 million units. I remember the YouTubers were shocked. They couldn't believe it. And so there's this audience out there, this casual audience, who is huge into Switch Sports. They're probably, overlaps of Pokopia and Mario Kart World. The casual audience who isn't complaining online about, it's a game key card, it's a game key card. This casual audience that's out there who would buy a Nintendo Switch 2 console for Switch Sports, and then mix that in with like, oh, well, I don't want to just get one game Switch Sports. There's fitness boxing. Maybe they're into that too. Or because there's the Switch 2 edition coming out in July. And then, your casual racers like Kirby Air Riders, Mario Kart World, Pokopia. Maybe there's enough casual stuff. Mario Tennis. There's enough there to sell the more casual people on it. And these casual people in 2027, when 3D Mario finally comes out, they're going to be interested in that too. And so, we're pretty stacked on the niche catering up until Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake. That's going to be the first real big push from Nintendo that is like, okay, people are really going to buy consoles. Like, the store shelves are probably going to get wiped out when Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake. People who've been waiting for 3D Mario or 3D Zelda, this is their game. But at least 19 plus million people have already got Nintendo Switch 2 consoles who can also buy Zelda. If they launch a Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake, they would have a very hard time selling units, which means when they release these other games like Fire Emblem and Yoshi and Mario Tennis, it'd be way harder to sell copies of these games because people don't have the console in hand. And so I think it's very genius. And, probably early spring 2027, we're going to get Pokemon Winds and Waves. That's going to be another big push. And then again, I would really be expecting 3D Mario not to come out until 2027 because there's no reason to. Fastest selling console of all time, breaking records. We have really big games coming up like Ocarina of Time Remake and Pokemon. And again, just with Fire Emblem and Xenoblade, there's stuff for the niche audiences. There's really something for everybody right now. And when Mario does come out in 2027, they're going to be stacked with all these games like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Yoshi, Mario Tennis, Aces. There's going to be all these games where they can, and also your Switch 2 editions, where then they can do 33% off discounts. So it's not just going to be 3D Mario that comes out. It's also going to be big sales. So if you skipped out on all these games coming up, like, oh, you weren't huge, I'm not going to spend $70 on Yoshi, but $40, yeah, I would pick it up for $40. Maybe you're one of those people. And when 3D Mario does come out, there's gonna be a huge marketing campaign with all these games that come out. And they're gonna be really prepared for the influx of sales that happens because of 3D Mario, but also just take advantage of all the Switch 2 owners that are already out there who are just waiting for a good sale. I think it's absolutely genius that the plan that they have going on, and there's still probably gonna be something in August. Right now, December, all we know about is Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. That's early in December. There's still room for something there. I think it's genius. And then, again, I think people are so spoiled about the third-party support. The third-party support is so stacked. I don't even know where to begin. Like, if you can't find anything to play, I don't know what to tell you. And a lot of people are like, oh, game key cards, it doesn't count. I don't know, get it digital. Get it game key card, skip it. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man, but there's a lot of games right now, and if you're afraid of servers shutting down, that's not going to happen for over 20 years. So just like enjoy gaming right now. Like, there's so much support, and I don't know. even Switch 1 hasn't had the level of third-party support that Switch 2 is getting. Like, Switch 2 is getting games like on launch day one, and I don't know, we haven't had that kind of support in the Wii, the Wii U, the GameCube, the N64. Like, this is the first time we're getting this high quality level Nintendo Switch 2, where I think people are now like, the whole narrative is just game key cards, because I don't know, that's all there is to talk about. Like, there's like, why not just get on PS5 because it's physical when you could get it on, instead of a key card. It's like, we are lucky to be having that kind of debate and conversation, because otherwise the games before, historically in the past, never even came out on Nintendo Switch 2 or on the Nintendo platform, especially day one. So I think it's absolutely crazy. So much to play. uh, I can't keep up. If they released 3D Mario or Smash or Luigi's Mansion 4 this year, I couldn't keep up, because, I'm a multi-platform gamer. So like Wolverine, GTA 6, Gears of War E-Day, Zelda Ocarina of Time Remake, in the spring, Final Fantasy 7 Part 3. I can't keep up. There's too many games. I don't want 3D Mario right now. That needs to go into 2027, because I can't keep up. So I don't know. I think it's crazy. I think it's smart. I think this rollout is smart. I think they're gonna keep selling units, no problem. These people who are grifting Nintendo for what they're doing, I don't know. They just want 3D Mario. They just want Luigi. They want what's not out now. But I think what's coming out now is very smart. Again, Nintendo Switch 2 broke records, fastest selling console of all time. I see that there's gonna be a lot of sales coming from those hardcore niche audiences, and then of course we're gonna finish it off with Ocarina of Time Remake. It's gonna be huge. They're going to sell more consoles with Ocarina of Time Remake, because they're probably gonna do a Ocarina of Time edition of the Nintendo Switch 2, collector's edition of the console, with the Joy Cons, with the dock, with the stand, and that's gonna sell additional units to people who already own the Nintendo Switch 2. So I don't know what to tell you guys, but crazy times ahead. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Later.